Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Hey, Katie, babes. How you know? Hey, Kathy B. How's everybody doing this afternoon? I hope everybody is having an amazing, a good afternoon. You know what I mean? Everybody's blessed this afternoon. Everybody's doing good. I missed you, ladies, because usually I come on now twice a day, but I did come on multiple times a day today, but it was to do missing person uploads, not lives. So if you didn't check the uploads out, please do. Um, those missing cases that I've done, none of them have really no no coverage. Except for Arctic Fox and myself, really. I haven't seen really no coverage out there. And one of the other, two of them has no coverage, and one of the ones has coverage, but not really. And it was from somebody else. But regardless, guys, ladies, and gentlemen, if we have any men that's going to be later on in here or people that's going to be watching this, just try to share it out because I'm sure their family wants them home despite if they haven't seen them in 40 something years. Okay. One of the cases that I put out was a 6 year old little boy. Okay. And this is a cold case and he's been missing for 40 something years. He was last seen in the shopping mall playing a video game. Kind of reminds me of the John Wash. Yeah. He was playing a video game and then he was gone. And the sad thing about this case with this little boy, yeah, 40 years. They only searched 3 days for him, the police. And then that was it. A 3 day search for a 6 years old little boy. And then they called it off. It's a shame. It really, really is. It breaks my heart. So just check out those videos and if you could share it, that would be appreciated, please, so we can get them out there. Uh, it's just crazy, man. It takes time to upload those videos and do thumbnails and stuff like that. So that's why I couldn't really go live earlier because I really wanted to get those missing people out. I don't know, why they called it off. Oh, uh they figured he might have jumped in the river or something like that, allegedly. How you went from this little boy playing a video game in the supermarket? I guess back then supermarkets had video games. We're talking about 40 years ago. uh oh, and another thing, there was another kid that was playing a video game with him, and the kid said when he turned his head, he was gone. And I said in my video, if you did watch it or if you didn't, you're going to hear me say a lot of those S traffickings, they use kids to do that. They use and it's sad, they use other little kids to, hey, go over there and play with that little boy so that they could go snatch the kid. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. I've seen a movie like that actually. And I couldn't believe it that they was using a little boy to lure another child. Unfucking believable. And it happens, and it really happens. I'm not saying that boy did that, but I'm saying traffickers do that. Uh, they do have an age progression of when he was little and then from now. So you could see that, in the thumbnail, you'll see it. So, yeah, I did a few of those videos and then put them out. I'll make shorts of them. And then I had some personal stuff that I had to take care of too, also. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It happens. You seen that as a movie on Lifetime too? See? And I bet you that shit really happens too. They lure those kids, girl. They lure them, and it's a shame. It really, really is to take advantage of another child. They already damaged because you didn't traffic them for so many years. Now you got them helping you trafficking another child. Like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. It's really sad. But today is going to be a reaction video. It's a reaction video, and of course, it is a real true crime that really happened. And actually, because of this case, they said that it changed the narrative of 911 calls, which to me, it didn't change a goddamn thing because the bullshit even got worse. But we'll get into that. I'm going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up. You might want to because what you're going to hear is going to make you piss the hell off. I know Artie Fox wanted to join, so I'm going to drop the link. If he's not busy, I don't know if he's busy yet, but he said earlier he was going to be joining. So let me drop the link. Oh, I'm going to try not to be on here a really long time because I got physical therapy tomorrow. But you know me. Once I get off of here, I don't go straight to bed anyway. The fuck? You know what I'm saying? Uh, uh, okay. Let me just tell you a little bit about this case. It's a reaction video, but this is a case that happened. Um, Thank you, Kathy B. Oh, yeah, it's just physical therapy. It's just one of those days, you know. But thanks, love. Yeah. They want me to go like 3 times a week and shit. I'm like, I'm, child, please. I'm going 3 times a week. Yeah. I woke up today in a lot of pain though with my my butt. So it's probably my psoriasis. Not so. I was gonna say psoriasis. What do you call that again? Oh my god, arthritis. Probably my arthritis or something, or I don't know. But my butt area was really, really hurting, and it's still hurting. Yeah. So anyway, okay. So Deanna Cook, sciatica. Thank you. That's what it is. The sciatica. Psoriasis. Yeah, that's. Thank you, Kathy B. Yeah. Oh, that is next Saturday at 9 in the morning. Yeah. I was just telling Dave today, I said, don't forget Papa next Saturday, 9 in the morning. But I have to drink something before I take the test. I have to do a test first next Saturday. Yeah. And they said to drink something the day before. So I'll just pick it up tomorrow since I have an appointment already and it's at the same place. So it doesn't make sense. I don't have to go pick it up next week. I could pick the drink up tomorrow, but I have to drink it the night before I go for the test. Yeah, I'll let you guys know what's going on. I think they just want to make sure nothing's a ruptured or everything's normal, right? That everything's normal and stuff like that to look inside. Oh, my feet itches. Yeah. But yeah, I did definitely go check that out. I made an appointment for that hernia. Yeah. I just can't lift anything heavy and shit like that. Don't worry, Dave been on me. He won't even let me lift the bag of watermelon. Like literally. It's bugging. He won't. He will not let me lift the bag of watermelon or the garbage. But yeah. Thank you. Y'all don't even know. It's just a lot of medical stuff. But, okay. Deanna Cook. Have you ever heard of her? Deanna Cook? This happened in 2012. Deanna Cook. So let me tell you a little bit about this case. I know watermelon is heavy. This happened in, the only thing I wanted to know was what city. And I almost had it too. South Dallas, Southeast Dallas. 32 years old, Deanna Cook lived in South D. Dallas. Married to an abusive young man. I don't want to give a lot away because I want to show you the video. He was very controlling. He was abusive. And he would just do spiteful things. Break her window, write letters. He was just weird. But she married him, right? But when he went overboard and she called 911, they failed her big time. And we're going to get into that. My girl Sharon Nation did a little documentary of this. And I found it. And I said, I'm going to share her story. But she didn't do part two with the 911 call. So I'm going to share this. And then I'm going to share another piece with the 911 call. Okay, guys? The reason I'm sharing her story is because the way I'm sharing this Sharon Nation's story and not another person with the whole 911 call and everything is because Sharon Nation has a way of putting pieces together. And when I looked at other stories of Deanna Cook, it didn't have certain stuff in there that Sharon Nation had put that would make you understand exactly what the hell is going on. Like I didn't know nothing about the case, but it's just you gotta watch it, listen up closely, and this is a very good example of why we need to have a plan B, a plan A and B, where we're in a relationship that we know is unsettled or unhealthy. This is an example of why we need to have a backup plan. Why somebody in our family, rather if it's our family and our friends, needs to know what's going on. Have an extra backpack, something by your bed, under your pillow. Because once you see this and you hear this video, you're going to make an A and B. I wish I would have back then, but I'm grateful I'm alive. Shout out to my girl Share Nation for this video.
I sound like a shadow.
Hold on.
Shadow.
I want to turn it up some. Oh wow, why is it like okay?
I saw like a shadow. A shadow behind the curtain. He said he was gonna do it, and he did it. He did it. He did it.
August 19th, 2012, is the day Vicky Cook and the rest of her family will never forget. It's a day she wishes never came to be, because on that day, her heart was shattered into a million pieces that would be impossible to ever put back the same. But she's not alone with her feelings. The vivid images of horror stained in her mind are shared with that of her daughter Carlitha and her two granddaughters. Today's case is about the tragic story of 32-year-old Deanna Cook. This is one story with a twist so eerie that it literally made the hairs on my arm stand up. A wicked twist of fate that left me so emotionally conflicted, I honestly couldn't stop thinking about it. And you'll learn more about this twisted turn of events in part two. But first, I want to share with you Deanna's story. I do want to give you a trigger warning. This video includes content about domestic violence and contains graphic audio and visuals that may be offensive or trauma inducing to some. So if you're sensitive to topics of this nature, please respect your mental health and refrain from watching. What's up, YouTube? My name is Shira, and welcome to my channel. You are watching episode 1, Taken by the Hands of Jealousy, the Deanna Cook story. Now let's get into it. Deanna Cook was born on June 19th, 1980, to Vicky Cook and Mark Thompson. She was the oldest of 4 sisters, Carlitha, Valicia, and Davia. And though she was known for being the center of attention, the family got a kick out of it. They truly embraced her vibrancy because Deanna was one of a kind. She brought a unique and positive energy to their tight knit group. Her mother, Vicky Cook, would go on to raise her girls as a single mother. This came with hardships that would have an effect on the family. But Vicky was a hardworking, resilient woman, and she did her absolute best to make sure her girls were always provided for. Deanna, however, being the oldest, would find that she would have to grow up fast, which of course came with its own difficulties. But lucky for her, she had an escape. From a young age, Deanna developed a passion for running. She would immerse herself in the world of track and field from 7th grade throughout her high school career. Her mother really supported and poured into her love for running and encouraged her to use it to her advantage. She wanted Deanna to pull strength from it. She would say to her, "When you get upset, just run. When things don't go your way, you just run." Because she saw it as a way for her to become better, not only in her sport, but emotionally and mentally as well. And Deanna did just that. She would accomplish several record breaking times in sprints and relay races. Everyone knew that girl was a superstar. But when it came to the 200-yard dash, that was her lane and hers alone, where everyone said she was known to pretty much be a beast. Deanna attended South Oak Cliff High School in Dallas, Texas. Those who knew her best described her as a joyful spirit who loved life. She was the person who could make just about anybody's day brighter with her unique and infectious laugh. Her sister Carlitha said she was a really fun person to be around. She was an aspiring author who also enjoyed modeling and was a genuine pet lover, but nothing would capture her heart more than the love she had for her 2 daughters, Nesia and Anaya. She loved her girls to her core. Deanna had a special relationship with her own mother as well. They were super close. You might describe their relationship to be almost like best friends because they would talk just about every day. Whenever Deanna would head off to work in the mornings, usually around 10 a.m., she would call her mom. But on Friday, August 17th, this normal routine did not happen. And since it was custom for Vicky to hear from her daughter regularly, she knew something was off right away.
So she was very, very close with her family. She was also a church girl. She was good with the community, you know, close with her moms. And it's crazy because when you're close with your family and you don't get a phone call, you just know When you used to getting that phone call, you don't get it, you just feel something is not right. Something's not right. And when you get that feeling, trust me, go with your instinct and call that person. Call that person. Don't wait. Don't wait. Or go check up on that person if you live nearby.
But just like many of us do, she gave her daughter a little grace just in case, maybe she had a busy day where she didn't have time to call. Though Saturday would go by without a word from Deanna the entire day, and by Sunday, August 19th, when Vicky found out that no one in the family had heard from her, including her own daughters, she
Mm.
refused to wait any longer. Vicky went to Deanna's house with her daughter Carlitha and Deanna's two teenage daughters to check on her. From the outside of the house, nothing appeared to be terribly off or out of place. They knocked on the door, but no one answered, yet they could hear Deanna's dogs barking. They tried peeking inside the windows, but couldn't see anything. So they continued just to walk around the house to check things out. That's when Vicky noticed water gushing from beneath the garage door. She immediately called 911. But when she requested to have an officer come out, the operator refused to send one and told her she would have to call local hospitals and jails first because, according to her, sending an officer out would be the last resort.
Have you called all the jails and hospitals?
I know I have not. Ma'am, can you just send the police over here?
No, ma'am. You have to do this first.
And of course, by this point, Vicky's like, are you kidding? This is unheard of. You can hear every bit of panic and frustration in her voice. And it sounds as though she's trying so hard not to scream to the top of her lungs. At that point, Carlitha cuts her off and just tells her to hang up the phone because she's just going to kick the door in. And after a few good tries, she was able to do so. They were immediately met with a strong, foul odor. At first sight, the house appeared to be clean and tidy as it was normally kept, but the floor was saturated. They were stepping in nothing but water that covered their feet. You could see it was coming from the back of the house, so they headed in that direction, which was also Deanna's bedroom. The door to the room had been pulled shut. One of them pushed on it, and when they did, it immediately fell off the hinges. What they saw was so unsettling. Deanna's room was a complete disaster. The mattress was hanging off the base of the bed. The TV had been knocked off the stand. Her jewelry was scattered all over the floor, and Deanna's things were everywhere. The room was in such a state of disarray. They call 911 back immediately. Vicky then looks inside the bathroom and could see a glimpse of something behind the shower curtain in the tub. She witnessed the most gruesome image of her daughter's lifeless body behind the curtain. Vicky let out a gut-wrenching scream. Deanna, her firstborn baby girl, was face down in bloody bathwater, wearing just her underwear.
Mm.
So, in order for you to understand just how we got here, let me bring you up to speed on Deanna's life. After high school, Deanna got married and had two beautiful.
I couldn't imagine as a parent walking in to a scene like that. And you know what? Her mother did what I would have done. If I'm on the phone with 911 and I'm trying to get help and y'all want to put me through the ringers, F y'all, I'm going to kick that door in. And that's exactly what she did. I won't tell you. I won't. I'll wait. I'll wait and tell you. Because she's not finished. I don't want to ruin it.
Beautiful daughters. But that marriage dissolved by
So
the time
sad
she was in
though.
her mid
You know.
20s, though she wouldn't stay single for long. And in 2008, she met and fell in love with a man by the name of Delvecchio Patrick. But unfortunately, Delvecchio would prove to bring more pain than pleasure. Deanna and Delvecchio had what people described as a rocky and tumultuous relationship. Deanna's family never really cared for Delvecchio. They didn't like how he treated her. He was controlling, he was extremely jealous, he was disrespectful, and many times he would act out and just behave irrationally over the smallest things. On January 3rd, 2009, not even a full year after meeting him, Deanna would experience the magnitude of Delvecchio's jealous wrath. While spending time with her friend Shamara, who came over to visit, Delvecchio showed up in a violent rage and began cursing at her because he'd been calling her phone that day and didn't get an answer. The argument quickly escalated and he started beating and choking her. According to Shamara, he picked Deanna up by her neck and held her in the air while he squeezed
Mm.
her throat. She demanded him to stop, but her insertion only made him angrier. Delvecchio told her that if she didn't shut up, he was going to do the same thing to her. At that point, Shamara ran outside to call 911. By the time they arrived, Deanna had marks all over her neck and body. Shamara even said she could still hear Delvecchio beating on her from outside when she left to call 911. He was arrested that day, but despite his behavior, Deanna forgave him and took him back. Not only did she take him back after he brutally assaulted her and threatened her friend, but it was after that she also married him. Of course, this did not sit well with her family, and they tried convincing her not to. But according to her mother, Deanna really believed she could change him.
Mm. Share a little bit of my story. Yes, I've been there. Been there. You know, through the abuse before we even got married, it was already insane. And then we marry him, thinking that I could change him. And she been there. He was already showing a erratic, demonic behavior. He picked her up from her neck. Do you know what that is? Picked you up from your neck and sliced your neck and still thinking, I could change this man. See, if I marry him, things will change because then I'll be his wife. Things would change. I could fix him. I could fix this. I know I can. We make excuses for their behavior. Only if I would have did this. Only if I would have did that. Only if I would have did this. If I would have never wore that. If I would have never said this, he would have never did this to me. Whew.
Now, it wouldn't be hard to predict that Delvecchio would go on to make the 4 years they spent together a living hell. On March 20th, 2010, a neighbor was startled by erratic pounding at her door. She heard the screams from a woman begging to be let in. It was Deanna saying Delvecchio was going to kill her. The neighbor opened the door, and when she did, she said Delvecchio immediately ran off. He was later apprehended nearby. When the police questioned them at their home, it was determined that Deanna was the aggressor in the situation because of the marks on Delvecchio's body. So they arrested her instead. And though she was eventually acquitted of that incident, it would later resurface in the worst possible way. Deanna attempted to leave her abusive marriage and filed for divorce. It became final in October of 2011. On October 5th, she made the following post to Facebook: "My divorce is final. Hey, give your girl a trophy. LOL." It appeared she was taking steps in the right direction, but like many of us, her strides wouldn't come without a little backpedaling and resistance. Del Vecchio began stalking her and even found her on Facebook. But Deanna did her best to not put energy into his antics. On December 24th, Christmas Eve of 2011, she wrote this in a Facebook post: "Ha ha ha, Satan, you lost again. Tell me why I'm cooking potato salad and getting gifts together to take to my mom's, listening to Christmas music, happy as ever. Look out the window, and
Hello,
Delvecchio
Heather.
Patrick is busting my windshield. Who does that?"
Thank you
Too
for
funny. I'm
joining.
laughing, saying, "Thank you, Jesus, for my new car." 5 days later, she would also write, "Morning, fam. OMG, ain't stalking a crime? Just checked my mail, and Delvecchio Patrick has wrote me a letter trying to act like the innocent one when he's constantly harassing me. Dude, get a life. Stop trying to prove something, and please tell your little followers to stop stalking me as well. When will this end? I walk with God. You do the devil's work. You can't have a life when you spend all this time concentrating on mine. So unattractive. Bless you. And fam, you be blessed as well." There was
So she was on social. Hello, Heather Ann. Welcome to Brooklyn Squad, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining. If you're not a sub, hit that sub button and don't forget to hit that like button. Hit that notification so you know when every time, which is every day that I go live. So she was a social media girl. So she was on Facebook a lot, you know what I mean? So he was a stalker as well. You know, he was stalking her on Facebook and things like that. And she's just like, listen, get a life, dude. Like, I got my divorce. I'm good. Like, I don't want you. Get a life. Obviously, if I can't have you, no one can. That's what type of dude it seemed like he was, you know? And that's a scary one, too. Those type of dudes, they scary because they will go to any means necessary to hurt you. They don't want to see you happy. They don't want to see you move on. They will take your life and take theirs too.
would be several more altercations involving law enforcement. Each time, Delvecchio's behavior would become weirder and more sinister. Deanna would notice Delvecchio standing outside or sitting in the park across the street from her house. On July 28th, 2012, Deanna called the police because Delvecchio threatened her and told her not to go to work. So she was
Mm,
scared to even leave her home.
wow.
And Delvecchio was sitting outside across the street in the park, watching to make sure she didn't leave.
See?
I have a stalker. He's been out here in his house son all day long, sitting out here across the street watching my house.
Deanna explained to the dispatcher that he'd been stalking her. She also added that he tried to take her life 3 times before, and she tried to get a restraining order, but the judge denied it because of the time she spent in jail.
Mm.
Hence the mention of her past coming back to haunt her in the worst possible way. To this day, I have no idea what that has to do with being granted a restraining order, but I digress. The dispatcher
Wait a
advised her to
minute.
get copies of all the police reports she's ever filed against Delvecchio, that he'd been stalking her. She also added that he tried to take her life 3 times before, and she tried to get a restraining order, but the judge denied it because of the time she spent in jail. Hence,
You got to be kidding me. Hold up. The judge, would not give her A restraining order because of her past history? What? Since when does that happen? Since when does that happen? I've never heard of that before in my life. That is crazy. That is crazy. Statistic. I can't say it. I don't know how to pronounce that word, Heather. But that is freaking crazy. Because of her shit. Mm. Oh, yeah. Sciatica. Yeah, sciatica. Yeah, I suffer from that. That's crazy, y'all.
The mention of her past coming back to haunt her in the worst possible way. To this day, I have
Yeah, I
no
know.
idea what that has
You
to do
know.
with being granted a
Thank you.
restraining order, but I digress. The dispatcher advised her to get copies of all the police reports she's ever filed against Delvecchio and take them with her to court as evidence. She was told that by doing so, it should help her get a restraining order since it was confirmed that her life was being threatened at that time. In the meantime, the dispatcher sent the police so that Deanna could be escorted out of her home and leave for work. When they
It's
arrived,
crazy.
Delvecchio was still outside and claimed to be waiting on his niece to pick him up, but authorities demanded that he leave and escorted him to his uncle's house. Deanna was eventually granted her restraining order, but even after she got it, family and friends said they'd seen the two out together. It was alleged that during those times, she appeared to be quiet and kept to herself, but Delvecchio carried on as if things were cool and appeared to be
Mm,
unbothered. It's unclear if Deanna was engaging with him out of fear during those times, or
probably.
if it was like any other time she'd forgiven him and tried to make things work again. August 16th, 2012.
Jesus.
Twitter post. Morning world, headed to work, hoping when I get off my home won't be broken. I got a stalker. Someone responded to her post by saying the following: How many people have you heard complain about the drama with their man or girl, but yet they are still in the relationship? Deanna replied, True. That's why I made the first move. Now dudes say he gonna kill me. Wouldn't be so bad if he ain't tried 3 times before. But I'm God's child. I ain't never scared. Days
Mm,
later, she was dead. Taking you back to the horrific moment Vicky discovers her daughter's body, it becomes clear that no one had to question who was at fault. Her precious daughter lying face down
mm.
in that disgusting bathwater. It was just too much.
What is it? Miss Cook, did you find her? Miss Cook? Miss Cook?
The biggest tragedy is that Deanna's teenage daughters had to witness this. How unfair was it for such a gruesome image of their mother to be permanently seared in their minds? For them, it was personal now.
Mm.
Delvecchio was arrested and awaited trial. For the family and many others, learning about the moments leading up to Deanna's death was nearly unbearable. And when you hear why, you'll understand. It was discovered that on August 17th at 10:52 a.m., a call went out to 911 from Deanna's cell phone. It would take 50 minutes for officers to arrive. Once there, they allegedly knocked on the door and tried looking inside through the windows but didn't see anything. When nobody answered, they left and noted that the disturbance had been resolved. Of course, for the family, this was frustrating to hear. Though similar circumstances might lead one to think this was just an act of subpar police work. That is, until the 911 call was officially released. This would be the key piece of evidence that would send not only the family, but the entire nation into a complete uproar. Remember when I said this story had a twist? Well, hold on tight because I'm about to peel back the layers for you in part two. And trust me, it's not what you think it is.
Mm, mm, mm. Now, I am going to play you another short clip because the other one has the 911 call. These cops took 50 minutes to show up at that woman's house. 50 minutes. 50 minutes. That's insane. What is the sense of 911 operator having a job if they can't do their goddamn job? Because it starts with them because they're the ones that's picking up the call. And they have to transfer the call over so that the police know what's going on and what destination they have to go to. Now, when you hear this 911 call, trigger warning. Okay? Just brace yourself. How are you, Heather? Heather Ann. Yes, Heather, I have sciatica, mama. Yeah, I've had it for years, though. All right, let me go find this other, the other one I want to show y'all. Oh, here it is.
What started out as a lovely Sunday.
Oh, there it goes. Okay.
What started out as a lovely Sunday morning for Vicky Cook and her two granddaughters spiraled into a terrifying nightmare after she discovered that her daughter, 32-year-old Deanna Cook, was dead.
Miss Cook, did you find her? Okay, Miss Cook. Miss Cook.
2 days earlier, an intruder broke into Deanna's house and strangled her to death, leaving her body to rot inside the bathtub. They found Deanna's decomposing body floating in the bathtub. The faucet was left on, pouring water all over the floor. To make this case even more terrifying, Deanna had made many 911 calls, reaching out for help from a stalker, but help never came. Not even while a 911 operator listened on the line as the intruder strangled the life out of her. Who murdered Deanna? And why did the 911 operator choose not to treat Deanna's call with urgency, which could have saved her life? Deanna was a single mom from Dallas, Texas. She lived with her two teenage girls, 15-year-old Nesea and 13-year-old Ania. She was dedicated to providing the best life she could for her daughters and loved spending time with her friends and family. But there was another side to Deanna. She loved to party and be seen in Dallas's nightlife. She enjoyed going to clubs to dance, drink, and have a good time. Unfortunately, this led to her meeting some less than desirable men. Deanna had multiple abusive relationships. 2 of these relationships led to marriage and ended in divorce. But one of these men refused to let her go. At 7:33 a.m. on Thursday, August 16, 2012, Deanna tweeted this message to the world. For someone with such an active social media presence, you'd think a close friend or relative would respond to this message. But it seemed to go unnoticed. Deanna was home alone, while her daughters were spending the night with one of her sisters. She called them to make sure they knew how much she loved them. But little did her daughters know this would be one of the last opportunities for her to say it. The conversation felt odd to her daughters, but Deanna said nothing about it.
Thank God that her daughters was not there. Thank gosh her kids was not there to witness that horrific crime. Now, I'm noticing that on Cheryl's video and his video, they both have different things that is different that probably a lot of us didn't know. I sure didn't know. Like, I didn't know she was married twice. I didn't know that she went to clubs, which is not a problem, but like I didn't know that. So it's interesting, very interesting that this person has other, different pieces too. Now, I was just going to play the 911 call from this side and then stop it, but then I'm hearing other different, pieces. So, okay.
Her stalker or the fear that she felt because of him. The following morning at 6:30 a.m., Deanna joined her mother, Vicky Cook, in a telephone prayer group session. Again, Deanna did not want to worry anyone, so she didn't tell her mom either.
She said, bye, Mama. And I said, bye, Deanna. I very seldom say goodbye. I always say, see you later. But for some reason, I said, bye.
Deanna had no idea this phone call would be the last time she spoke to her mother. And the last call she would make that could have saved her life. The next morning, Vicky expected to hear from Deanna around 10 a.m. for their daily one-on-one phone call. But Deanna never called. Vicky tried texting her, but no response there either.
She's not answering the phone, and that's not like her. And it was just like, okay, where is she?
Her daughters had also tried reaching out to her, but they could not get a hold of her, and Deanna never came over to see them. This was unlike Deanna, who always kept in touch with her family. On social media, she tweeted this on Friday, August 17th at 7:40 a.m. After that, her account went silent. On Sunday, August 19th, Vicky picked up Deanna's daughters and took them to church. But they were so worried about Deanna, who still had not returned their calls, that they left church early to check on her.
So it's kind of like relief moments for me because I'm finally going to the house. I get to see my mom.
On their way to Deanna's, Vicky received
That's
a
a
call from her
daughter.
daughter, Carlitha, who had just returned from her vacation and needed a ride. Not wanting to leave Carlitha stranded and nervous about what she might find at Deanna's, Vicky made a quick detour to pick up Carlitha before continuing on to Deanna's home, filling Carlitha in on the situation along the way.
And was saying, hey, before we take you to your car, we have to go by Deanna's house because we hadn't heard from her since Friday. Immediately, I thought something was wrong.
As they walked up to the house, Carlitha noticed water draining out from under the garage door and forming a pool on the street. They also found Deanna's 2 chihuahuas outside the house, all by themselves. Vicky and the 2 girls banged on the door, yelling for Deanna, but received no answer. They tried opening the door, but it was locked. They walked around to the back of the house. The doormat was soaking wet from water leaking out beneath the door. Carlitha looked through the window. She could not see Deanna, nor was there any sign of a break-in. But all the floors appeared to be covered in at least 2 inches of water. At 1:44 p.m., Vicky called 911. Unfortunately, the call was answered by a stubborn operator who refused to dispatch officers without proof of foul play.
Dallas 911, Graham, what's your emergency?
My daughter has been missing since Friday. No one has
Your daughter.
She is 32.
And I asked them if I could get an officer at the house. They told me no.
Ma'am, can you just send the police over
No,
here?
ma'am. No, ma'am. You have to do this first.
That's when the operator said that there was a call from that house 2 days prior.
We're out there. I don't know what they came out there for, but we came out there.
On the 17th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that was just a couple of days ago. And Deanna's been missing since the 17th.
Do you think it's child play? Do you think somebody did something to her?
Yes, I do.
Still, the operator refuses to dispatch police to Deanna's home.
No, I'm not refusing, ma'am. I just wanted some officers here to help us get in the house.
Police can't help you get in the house.
Carlitha.
They should fire this witch, but not at this point. That's not the 911 call I'm talking about. We're going to get into it. But the part where, the fact that they had someone come out there before, or she had a phone call, a 911 call from that residence before, wouldn't ring her alarm, and now the mother is saying, I haven't heard from my daughter, and there's a puddle of water out here. Can you please send the officer? Oh no, we cannot send. Have you lost your mind, 911 operator? If this was in her situation, would she have done the same thing? No, of course not. They definitely need training, Yes. They definitely need training. I wonder what kind of training they have to do. I'm going to look that up because this is crazy, girl. This don't make no damn sense.
Realized she had to take matters into her own hands and kick down her sister's door.
And on the third kick, the door flew open.
It's water. We got it in. We in.
Okay, let me know if she's inside.
The door banged open and a strong and foul smell struck them like a slap to the face.
When I kicked the door in, the first thing that came out was the smell.
It was the smell of death, but none of them knew it yet. As they stepped through the door, water covered their feet, seeping into their shoes. Vicky led them through the house, following the flow of water while still on the phone with the 911 operator. So far, nothing in the house seemed out of place besides the flooding and the smell. The water appeared to flow from underneath Deanna's bedroom door. As Vicky attempted to push the door open, it fell from its hinges. They noticed the door frame was severely damaged. Somebody had forced it open.
The hinges on her door had been kicked in.
They did that.
And I jumped back because I saw something on the bed and I thought it was her. But it wasn't her, it was a blanket.
Deanna's room looked like someone had turned it upside down. Bedding, broken furniture, CDs, and splinters of wood were scattered across the floor.
She was fighting.
The 911 operator had finally heard enough to feel the need to send officers to Deanna's home. The operator tried to get Vicky and her family to leave the house and stay outside until the police arrived.
Something happened in here. Her room is tore up.
Okay, ma'am, I'm sending police. I need everybody back outside.
However, Vicky could not wait until the police arrived and was anxious to know about their daughter's well-being. Now, turning her attention back to the water, Vicky saw that it was flowing from underneath the bathroom door in Deanna's room. Vicky opened the door.
Oh my God.
What is it? Ma'am, is that her? Miss Cook, did you find her? Okay, Miss Cook. Miss Cook. Miss Cook.
She saw her beautiful and high-spirited Deanna dead inside the overflowing bathtub. Her lifeless eyes stared up at the ceiling. Her skin had started decaying on her face, and her bloated body swayed in the flowing water.
I looked to my right, and then I looked to my left, and I saw like a shadow. A shadow behind the curtain, and I started screaming. God, it was her, and the water was still running. The water was still running. And I just said, he killed her. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. He did it.
The police arrived at 2:04 p.m. It took them over 20 minutes to get there by the time the operator finally decided it was necessary to send officers to Deanna's home. By now, the decay and water damage were so severe, there was no way to determine the cause of Deanna's death without a medical examiner. So they had to wait for one to arrive at the scene.
Oh, 20
There
minutes.
was no reason
I thought they said
for the
50.
operator to refuse to provide the family with police aid when Vicky called and made a report. If the operator would have immediately sent officers to the house, the family would never have had to suffer agonizing and life-changing trauma from discovering Deanna's body.
The only thing I was thinking was, why did they let us find her? Why would they force us to see that? Because it was 3 generations. It's my mom finding a daughter. It's a daughter finding a sister. And then it's daughters finding their mother in that state where, like, her skin was gone on her face, you know?
I'm big on accountability, but she probably could have had a chance, and I probably didn't have to see that.
To add more insult to injury, Deanna had called the police 2 days prior to this discovery. This call should have saved Deanna's life,
Hey, Cherish.
if it wasn't for the carelessness of the Dallas Police Department. At 10:54 a.m. on Friday, August 17th, 911 received this terrifying phone call.
Dallas 911, what is your emergency? Okay, what's your address?
Deanna's screams echoed through her phone as her attacker beat her, strangled her, and forced her head into the bathtub to drown her. The operator never acknowledged Deanna's screams as she spent the first few minutes of the call demanding an address.
Hello? Need Police Fire Ambulance. I'm going to need an address.
3 minutes into the call, Deanna called her attacker Red, a nickname, confirming that she knew who he was. At this point, the operator stopped asking for information and just sat and listened as Deanna begged for her life. Nearly 8 minutes into the call, Deanna said her attacker's real name.
Why are you doing this to me? I'm not doing anything. Please,
Del Vecchio is the name of Deanna's second ex-husband. They dated for 2 years and were married for another 2 before Deanna filed for divorce in 2010. 8.5 minutes into the call, Deanna lets out one last scream. Then the sounds of the struggle stop, but Del Vecchio's voice continued to come through the line as he repeated, For 2.5 minutes, the only sound on the call was the barking of Deanna's dogs. After the call ended, the operator sent 2 officers to Deanna's home, referring to the situation as a domestic disturbance. The dispatcher did not tell the responding officers she heard the victim screaming for her life. She didn't tell them she heard the victim scream the name Del Vecchio. She certainly didn't tell them she sat there and did nothing while listening to the phone call, which lasted for 11 minutes. In no rush to respond, the police took 50 minutes to arrive at her home, making 2 stops along the way. One to check a burglar alarm and another to grab water at a convenience store. When they finally stopped at Deanna's house, all they did was knock on the door. Then they left, after nobody answered. The police system ranks 911 calls by priority.
She screamed and gave signals, his tag name, his real name, those little keys to what they know this fuck is in here trying to kill me. She begged for her life. And the 911 operator failed her completely. She should be fired. She should not be working there. I don't know what kind of training they giving these people. I really don't. This is heartbreaking. This woman is screaming for help. And then when the cops get there, what do? Men cannot handle rejection. They can't. They cannot handle rejection, Heather. Some men. Exactly right. They need to sue the F out of her. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Kathy said, what the hell? Oh, we're happy to have you. This is wow. Phew.
A priority 3 or 4 call can take up to 10 hours for police to respond. A priority 2 can take about 90 minutes. A priority 1 up to 10 minutes. Had the operator made the call a priority 1, Deanna may still be alive today. There was no excuse for the mishandling of this 911 call, other than pure neglectfulness. But now the focus was on finding out how Deanna had died. A medical examiner determined the case to be a homicide, and police began their investigation into possible suspects, starting with the victim's romantic partners. Sadly, investigators already had the evidence they needed to find Deanna's killer, but they didn't know it yet. Investigators questioned Deanna's family about her past relationships, and all were quick to point fingers at her latest husband, 35-year-old Delvecchio Patrick. During their 2-year marriage, Deanna suffered horrible physical and mental abuse by Delvecchio. He never laid hands on her girls, but they witnessed their mother's abuse, as did other family members and friends. After Deanna left Delvecchio, the girls were so traumatized by him, they slept with knives under their pillows to feel safe. They lived in fear of him breaking into their home. At the crime scene, Vicky told investigators she knew the address for Delvecchio's father, and police went over there straight away. Delvecchio denied knowing anything about Deanna's murder. However, due to his outstanding warrants, police arrested him on the spot. Delvecchio was in police custody after a few hours from the time Deanna's body was discovered. Deanna's family breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the nightmare was over. But Carlitha, while at the station for questioning, was told by an officer that they needed to investigate the call that was made from Deanna's house on the day of her murder. The following day, the news of Deanna's 911 call was all over the media.
For 11 minutes, you can hear Deanna Cook screaming, begging her ex allegedly to stop strangling her, gasping for air for 11 minutes. It's hard to believe that an operator wouldn't relay that kind of information to police. They subsequently arrive at Deanna's home. We understand it took them about 50 minutes until the call came in, until they arrived at Deanna's home, knocked on the door, there was no answer, and then they simply left after that.
We love to play the 911 call, but they're not releasing it. But the reports from those who are reporting on those who have heard it is that for 11 minutes, she's begging for her life, that you can allegedly, purportedly hear her ex threatening her on the call. How is it that the call, the dispatch, is described as simply domestic disturbance, which is not very descriptive?
We have somebody who's on the phone screaming for her life, and certainly that should have been relayed to the officers. When the line goes dead, they're automatically sent out there anyway, and certainly when it's a domestic case, it is one of the most serious cases for police officers to arrive at. If they believe exigent circumstances existed, they should have gone into the house. So this is going to take on a whole life of its own, a whole investigation into the police department and who's responsible for really the death.
KHOU is reporting Deanna Cook's ex-husband, Delvecchio Patrick, could be heard in the background saying he is going to kill her.
Outraged, Deanna's family returned to the police station, demanding to hear her 911 call. As soon as the family heard Deanna's screams for help, Vicky walked out of the room. Deanna's daughters cried, and Carlitha screamed at the police officers for letting her sister die.
She was screaming and hollering on a 911 call. The police should have kicked the door down, and they didn't. They just let my daughter die.
Deanna trusted the Dallas Police Department to protect her, and they failed. When the 911 operator was questioned about how she handled Deanna's call, she claimed she couldn't hear Deanna being choked or Delvecchio's threats. The Dallas Police Department received massive backlash from the media from their disastrous failure, and the department took measures to correct their mistakes. The operator who took Deanna's call at the moment of her murder was suspended. The one who took Vicky's call was fired. The Dallas Police Department enhanced their training and procedures for 911 operators, police officers, and other first responders on how to effectively handle domestic violence calls. On May 22nd, 2015, almost 3 years after Deanna's death, her murder trial came to a close as the jury announced their verdict.
The Dallas County jury found Delvecchio Patrick guilty for murdering his ex-wife. And as soon as that guilty verdict was pronounced, people began spilling out into the hallway. And as you can imagine, the emotion spilled out there as well. Want to show you the reaction to Vicky Cook, Deanna Cook's mother, in that hallway right after the verdict was announced.
It's been a long, emotional 2 years for this family.
Delvecchio was sentenced to 85 years in prison, with the possibility of parole in 2045. By the time he has any chance to get out of jail, he'll be 69 years old.
I would have never gave him a possibility of parole. No way. No, ma'am. No. Your news said that's like the video I did about the 8-year-old girl called, the 911. Yeah, so, yep, begging her mom, and the dispatcher was rude and yelling at the little girl. Her mom could have made it. Yeah, that was sad. That was so sad. Yep. If that dispatcher would have listened. Yeah, she was listening all right, but she wasn't taking heed to a goddamn thing. What was she doing? Like, playing with herself or something? What the fuck? Like, what the fuck was she doing? Hey, Cynthia. I would have never gave, because I just don't get it. Like, this lady is screaming for her life, and the ditch bachelor is right there. Doing, I don't know. I'm so.
After Deanna's death, the response time for operators for all 911 calls in the Dallas district.
Hold on. And why the hell would they even give him parole? I know it's going to be years from now, of course, but why would they even go there and give him parole? I wouldn't have given his ass no damn parole. Fuck that. No, first degree. Not parole, baby. He should be first degree. It's crazy.
District improved. The standard is 10 seconds or fewer, but now the calls are answered on average within 3 seconds.
There were massive changes to the system after this case. Staffing has been increased by a large margin. And I also know that domestic violence calls like this are given a higher priority, and they deal with these calls with more urgency at the 911 call center.
Though Deanna called 911 in her time of need, fear kept her from reaching out for help from friends, family, and other services, which could have saved her life where the police department failed her. Don't wait until the last moment to reach out. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please get help. You are loved. And remember, you are not alone.
That's right. For real. Now, I'm just going to show y'all something really quickly.
Recordings just got better. Now available on StreamYard.
They found Delvecchio Patrick guilty for murdering his ex-wife. That decision came in late this afternoon. In 2012, Deanna Cook was murdered while she was on the phone calling for help. She'd called 911.
Hey,
Sean Rabb has been in the courtroom the entire
We're almost done,
Sean
hon.
is in with more on the reaction.
But thank you for stopping by, babe.
Yeah, Steve, 3 hours and 20 minutes. Jurors deliberated before returning that guilty verdict. There was a lot of emotion in the courtroom. But the judge admonished everyone not to cry out, not to scream, not to react in any way when the verdict was read. And as soon as that guilty verdict was pronounced, people began spilling out into the hallway. And as you can imagine, the emotion spilled out there as well. Want to show you the reaction to Vicky Cook, Deanna Cook's mother, in that hallway right after the verdict was announced.
I know this is an emotional moment for them.
Of course, it was August 17th, 2012, when Deanna Cook was strangled to death, drowned in a tub of water. The charge, asphyxiation by water. The jury said yes. Del Vecchio Patrick killed his ex-wife in that manner after a week of very uncomfortable, hard to listen to testimony, including 911 calls, including Deanna Cook's own 911 call as she was being murdered August 17th, 2012. Now, there's a gag order in this case by Judge Brandon Birmingham, so the lawyers nor the family members can speak. But listen to Deborah Bowles and what she has to say. She is an advocate for women who are victims of domestic violence.
The family's excited as well as myself, and we're excited to see what's going to happen on Tuesday so this family can get closure. It's been a long,
He's so sweet-hearted, Fox.
2 years for this family.
Now, of course, Tuesday is when the punishment phase of this trial begins. The judge, of course, is giving everybody off Monday, Memorial Day. Tuesday morning, 8:30 is when the punishment phase gets underway. And Steve, real quick, this morning, one of the original jurors was dismissed and replaced with an alternate because a Dallas sheriff's detention officer said she overheard her in an elevator yesterday talking to another woman, even offering that woman a ride from the courthouse. That woman came to me today and said, listen, that's my granddaughter. And she was not talking with me about the case. I came down to hear and see for myself. We never discussed the case. I told that to the district attorney, but she was still dismissed. And one of the two alternates sat in. And again, 3 hours, 20 minutes later today, the guilty verdict.
Okay.
Well,
punishment next week. Thank you very much.
Thank gosh, he was found guilty. But even though, he won't be able to get on parole for many, many years, I still think that he shouldn't get parole. That's just my opinion. And that poor family, her kids, she had 2 beautiful kids. That 911 witch, one lost her job and the other one got suspended. Both of them should have lost their jobs. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? This was a very, very sad case. And you know what's crazy is it still happens today. It still happens today. I don't see anything improving. Not long enough, right? Yep. I say that too, not long enough. It's crazy. I don't see anything improving when it comes to these 911. I really, really don't. I'm just sorry to say that, but I don't see anything improving when it comes to 911. Wow. I'm just thinking like, wow, she was screaming for her life. She said his tag name. She said his real name. And then he was even saying, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. He even was saying it. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Like, he was even giving himself away. And the 911 operator, what was she doing? What was she doing? I just don't understand. What are you doing at that time? You were a 911 operator. You have a bunch of other 911 operators around you. So what could have you been doing? Was you under the desk playing with yourself or something? Like, what the fuck was you doing? Because I just don't understand where your mindset was. Don't make no damn sense. Yeah, exactly. She's something, because this shit don't make no sense. You know? But it's a sad story, and it's a sad thing to know that it still goes on to this day. Stuff like that still happens. You call 911. Look, just for instance, like yesterday, one of the ladies that I'm trying to help now, she calls 911 because she finally sees her daughter, the 6 years old that ran away, and she can't even get a code of 911. I've never heard of no goddamn like that in my life. I call 911 and I cannot get in contact with 911. Then we got a problem. Mayor, somebody, do something. It's crazy. But I want to say thank y'all for joining me. Share this video. I will see y'all tomorrow because I got stuff to do tomorrow, so I can't be on here for hours and hours and hours and hours like we usually do. You know what I mean? Physical therapy tomorrow, guys. Ooh. What they gonna do to your girl tomorrow over there? You know what I'm saying? Don't hurt your girl too much now, but uh oh, but yeah, tomorrow's another day. I forgot what I have tomorrow lined up. Oh, I have the case that Barbara Russian wanted me to put out. So yeah, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. She asked me to put this case out. Am I saying it's a Barbara Russian? Yeah, not Barbara Hoare, the other Barbara. So I will see y'all tomorrow night. Until then, everyone, have a peaceful, blessed night.